Gift to all of you is my channel May Round Joy. Today, I'm going to explain Blue Lock Season 3
said before, and saying that he needed someone stronger than everybody, and one who rightly stands in his way, which he calls the ultimate egoist. Once again, his aura is just getting more and more intense, as he says that the urge to destroy that sort of egoist is the trigger to enter this state. And lastly, while almost being consumed by total rage and darkness, he says that this is it. This is the feeling he's been looking for. After that, we once again switch over to Isagi, who has puzzle pieces flying around him like crazy, as he says that this is his game and his only, saying that if he can't succeed in this situation, and if he can't finish first, then all of this hard work would have been for nothing. He tells himself to think, and says that there's got to be a way to win, while simultaneously shutting down Kaiser, saying that for the top performance that Kaiser is currently seeking, he has to find an action that destroys it, which is just what Isagi has found as he finally makes his move. Isagi decided to move towards Kaiser, which caught everyone off guard. Kaiser can't believe his eyes and is extremely confused. The same could be said for Karasu, Hiyori, and Nanase, who are just watching this go down. Isagi thinks that since Kaiser loves playing in Isagi's shadow so much and taking advantage of any blind spots that may occur due to Isagi's presence, he's now instead made a run that forces Kaiser into the spotlight. And we can see on Kaiser's face that this was a smart move by Isagi, as Kaiser is furious at Isagi. After that, Isagi, Hiyori, and Corona start trading passes, while Isagi admits that, from an individual skills standpoint, Kaiser outclasses him, but what he has over Kaiser is the support he gets from Corona and Hiyori. Since Kaiser is all alone inside this cage Isagi created, he is now powerless. They trade glances for a moment, as Isagi asks Kaiser to show him the answer Kaiser is able to create from his restrictive environment. And just then, Kaiser makes his move, as instead of watching, he runs up on the field. However, this was exactly what Isagi wanted, as he says bingo, and says that he fell for it, you shitty clown. Explaining that since Kaiser made the first move, the defense has no choice but to deal with him first, and that Isagi's aim is the run he will make within Kaiser's shadow, which is just what he did now, as he did an opposite run that kickstarts his freedom, as Isagi has broken through everyone and is free. Corona from the side tells Isagi to be ready as he will pass the pass now. However, that's not exactly what happens, as instead of Corona passing the ball, he instead gets a one-way ticket right down to the ground as Rin, fully immersed in rage, comes in and pushes him off balance, making him fall to the floor, saying that he figured that he would do that and calls Corona Isagi's pigtailed sea anemone, which is actually a bit funny. Anyway, Isagi is extremely shocked by this, as he didn't expect Rin to be there. Rin gets the ball, and Isagi realizes that Kaiser wasn't the only one who evolved when he's feeding off the restriction Isagi creates. We see Rin, who looks furious and even has his tongue out, which we know from the U20 match that he only does when he's extremely locked in the game, and then it begins the battle between Isagi, Rin, and Kaiser, even though I feel like it will be more directed between Isagi and Rin. We get right into the chapter where we see a shocked Noah and Loki, who's looking at the monster like Rin, who currently has the ball, as well as a dark aura around him. Not to mention that he has his tongue out, meaning that he's extremely concentrated. Raichi is furious and asks how Rin didn't get a foul for pushing over Corona in the last chapter. However, Isagi thinks that Rin touched the ball first, so there will be no foul. He then says that Rin is bringing out his prey's best and destroying it, just like he did in the U20 match. With this, Isagi knows that Itoshi Rin is about to go all out now. We can see in Rin's eyes that he's extremely determined, and just then he starts rushing over to Raichi. Raichi is a bit taken aback and says shit before taking out his arm and trying to block Rin. However, Rin just slaps Raichi's arm to the side and instead takes his arm on Raichi's stomach to push him away. However, another bastard Munchen player has been lurking in the shadows, and it's none other than Kiora Jin, who tries to sneak up on Rin and take the ball. But Rin somehow predicted it, so he makes the ball float and avoids Kiora. With the ball now in the air, he turns around and passes it. Nanas gets the pass and traps it amazingly. After that, Rin starts to sprint all that he can up on the field. He breaks free from Raichi, and because of that, Nanas passes back the ball to Rin. But just then, another challenger comes in Rin's way. This time it's the ultra-sadist Hiyori. However, it doesn't take long for Rin to absolutely demolish Hiyori, as he actually does a rainbow flick to get past Hiyori. And this just looks so goddamn cool, I can't even lie. We can clearly see on Rin's body that his aura is beginning to become clearer the longer he plays. Hiyori looks back in shock after getting the rainbow flicked and says that Rin is extremely good and is wondering if his concentration has increased. After that, we see Isagi, who is on Rin's left side, following Rin's steps closely. he thinks that Rin doesn't stop the movement of the ball or himself, saying that he's doing a counter that makes the most of his individual skills and passing, calling it efficient breakwork, which we can clearly see annoys Isagi. However, this makes Isagi understand that Rin was always aware of his movements. With this, Isagi thinks that the more the field becomes centered on him, the easier it becomes to read the overall movements tied to it, which means that he is more restriction-oriented to show his abilities in this situation, where they are limited and tied down to what he can do. Saying that unlike Kaiser, who let go of his obsession with Isagi, Rin fixes on Isagi more to express himself better, which makes him a self-type egoist, and with this newfound knowledge, Isagi says that he's starting to understand Rin's mental structure and also the equation of his mind. And with his puzzle pieces flying around him like crazy, he starts to wonder how he can twist Itoshi Rin into his will. If that wasn't bad enough, then he's also getting closer to the feeling that time during the U20 game, which we can clearly see as his aura has beginning to take an even larger form around Rin. Isagi thinks back to the U20 game and thinks about Rin's flow mode and says that the thrill of exposing the enemy's highest form and crushing and trampling on it is what Rin likes the most. Rin has been able to get himself to the backline of Bastard Munchen, and before him are two defenders who probably won't do anything. However, before we see Rin manhandle them, Isagi wonders how he is going to stop him, as he says that this situation is different from that time at the U20 match, saying that at that time Sei was there, so he became a presence that could barely stop Rin, but now, no one can suppress Rin when he's switched on. We see Rin get behind one of the defenders without even dropping a sweat. After that, he turns to the other one and does the same thing to him, leaving them completely destroyed. And this leaves Isagi with no choice but to be the one to take Sei's place, now that he isn't here. However, as his pieces are floating like crazy, he wonders if he really has the power to do it. But then he realizes that it isn't about whether he can or not, and that he has to do it. The two of them make eye contact with each other, and we can see that both of their eyes are glowing with a burning desire to beat each other. Isagi asks Rin to bring it on, to give Isagi his best form before saying that the number one is none other than Isagi, as he slams his body into Rin's, making them side by side fight for the ball. I will talk about this panel more afterward, but please just look at this panel. It's amazing. I love how Isagi has his puzzle pieces flying around him on his side while Rin has his darkness and rage aura around him. However, we quickly leave that and instead go right into a flashback. Where do we see Rin playing with some toys? He has a dragon and a superhero in his hand, and as he plays, he breaks the superhero with the dragon. He says random words as he has drool running down his face. However, to his rescue, Sei comes and wipes it away. He puts his hand on Rin's head and asks if it's that much fun, as Rin drools when he's having fun and is concentrating, and Rin just says that it is. Sei notices the broken superhero on the floor, which makes Rin get a guilty expression on his face. Sei takes up one of the broken pieces and says that toys aren't like humans and that they don't bleed, but once they break, they won't heal. Rin says that he knows and apologizes. He looks at the broken toy and asks if he will get scolded again by mom and dad, wondering if he will once again cause trouble for them. To try and lift Rin's gloomy mood, Sei asks Rin if he wants to go grab some ice cream, which you can't refuse. As they have the ice cream, Sei asks if Rin got it, probably referring to the prize on the ice cream. Rin, with a sad face, says that he didn't, but Sei tells him not to worry about it, and that until the day he dies, his older brother will always be by Rin's side. After that, we get back in the game and see that both Rin and Isagi are out of balance just in front of the ball. But suddenly, Rin's darkness and rage just vanish after the flashback, and he's back to his regular expression. So in the last chapter, we left off with Rin and Sei going out and eating some ice cream, and as we get into this chapter, we see them coming home. Sei and Rin enter the door, and Rin yawns as both of them say that they are home. Right as they enter, their mom and dad are standing right in the doorway. With an angry and irritated voice, their mother yells Rin's name. She asks if he broke another toy again, and asks how many times it has been now. Rin, who is struggling to come up with anything, just says random words before he apologizes. However, just as he is doing so, Sei confesses that it was actually him who did it, even though it was Rin. Their parents are surprised by this, and even Rin isn't too sure what is going on. Their mom gets on the floor and takes her hands around Sei's face as she asks if it really is him. Sei explains that he got annoyed and accidentally did it. After that, their father asks Sei to come with him for a bit, and he follows along while looking back at Rin, and both of them stick their tongues out to each other. After that, we get into an intense scene where we can see a dinosaur starting to destroy and burn up an entire city. The citizens say that they can't take it anymore and that it's the end of the world, but suddenly someone sees something in the distance. They look over and see Evelyn, who is still trying to get up. They are all amazed by this and say that it's been over 3 minutes and that there shouldn't be any power left for it to turn into a giant. However, don't be so sure. As we see one of Evelyn's eyes start to light up, he then gets up on his feet once again and starts to emanate some sort of light ability. The citizens don't understand what is going on, and someone even says that he is able to feel his life energy being sucked out of him. They realize that Evelyn is about to undergo his final evolution, and he asks everyone in the world to share their lifespan with him, which they do. Even the elderly can't be stopped. We see that the energy from everyone is starting to form some sort of light ball attack in Evelyn's hand, and it doesn't take long before it fires off an incredible lightning blast as he says that life is beauty-ho. Now, I'm not sure whether this is a typo or if it's supposed to say beauty-ho, but I will continue saying beauty-ho as it's what it says. Anyway, the light beam hits the dinosaur right in its stomach, making it a critical hit. After that, we go back to the regular blue lock and see some of Rin's classmates doing the Evelyn final attack in the classroom. Rin is watching them as he plays Jenga and hears them saying that Evelyn is so cool and even asks their sensei to do the final boss attack. Their sensei scratches their heads and says that recent special effects hero shows are really well made, even saying that she cried again yesterday after watching all the episodes, and she even begins to cry just thinking about it. The kids are getting annoyed and ask her to just do the attack already, but she continues going over how sad the last episode was. Rin is watching this closely. However, suddenly his friends call his name and say that it's his turn to go. Rin looks back at the Jenga tower, but instead of placing a block, he instead falls on top of the tower, which makes his friends question what he is doing. After that, we went outside and saw some birds eating seeds on the ground. However, suddenly, superhero Rin comes attacking as he jumps down from a playground thing and goes for the birds. However, they quickly evade him as they see him going for them, and after that, they fly away, leaving Rin on the ground with a bleeding nose. After that, the school day is over, and Rin is home watching TV. He sees a tiger and what looks like a deer who's fighting for its life. However, the tiger is faster than the deer, so he catches up, and as he's gotten hold of the deer, the tiger starts to bite on its neck. I can't really make out Rin's expression for this because, at first glance, he looks shocked, but at second glance, I feel like he looks fascinated, so I can't really say, but let's go with him being shocked. After that, we go over to Rin's parents, who are sitting in the kitchen. Their mom says that today again, Rin caused trouble at the kindergarten, saying that he jumped off a high place by himself and came home injured again, saying that lately Sei seems to be acting strange because of Rin, and their mother starts to wonder if she is a good enough mother. Their father tries to comfort the mother and says that it's fine, explaining that it's just a boy's impulsive nature and that he is sure that Rin will calm down as he gets older. As he says that, we see Rin, who's been standing quietly alongside the door and listening into their conversation. As he's listening, Sei comes down the stairs and asks if Rin wants some ice cream. Rin shakes his head and says that he doesn't. After that, we see a small panel of the superhero toy that Rin broke before, but now it has tape around it that is holding it together. Rin, who's lying on the bed, asks if Sei thinks that Rin is weird. Sei is surprised by this question and says that he is his little brother after all. After that, Rin asks if Sei thinks that it's a bother for everyone if Rin is around, and Sei just asks what that's supposed to mean. As he's stretching, he says that people often call him weird or annoying as well, asking Rin if he's unhappy that Sei is just as weird as he is. However, Rin says that if he's the same as Sei is, then it's okay if he's weird, and then Rin puts on Evelyn on the TV. Sei, who is doing keep-ups up with the ball, asks if Rin is once again watching that, and says that all of his friends are also into it, and that they are saying stuff like, Evelyn is so cool as well as he is fighting to protect the Earth, calling it all childish. Rin, who's still closely watching the TV, says that he, instead of liking Evelyn, is a fan of the final monster boss, asking Sei to take a look at it, and explains that he is trying to beat someone who is better than himself is, explaining that even though it's at a disadvantage, it's still fighting for its life, as we see as the final monster boss runs through the light beam and crushes Evelyn's head with his teeth, almost like what the tiger did to the deer earlier. Rin continues and says that even if its body is riddled with holes, or if it has to go as far as to self-destruct, it still fights to defeat the hero and calls it super cool, as he sees that the two of them self-destructs. Sei is watching Rin in shock, as Rin says that to him, even if he gets hurt and beaten, one day he wants to fight someone amazing, destroy him, and then die just like the final monster did. Rin's eyes are big as he's watching the TV while Sei still looks in shock, We also see that Rin starts to drool again as we get back in the game, and he says that his ego isn't just a destruction impulse, but instead, a destruction at the cost of life, looking like a maniac with his dead and dark eyes while having his tongue out and saying that this is his true nature. However, just then, Kaiser comes from his side and screams that it's fucking rude of Rin, calling him a foul-mouthed, tongue-wagging monk. And just then, the matchup between Kaiser and Rin starts with both of them looking more fired up than ever before. We start with a panel with a bunch of sports players, and the text says that when humans concentrate, they unconsciously open their mouths or stick out their tongues. It's often seen in childhood, but it's also said that top athletes do this in sports to release themselves from excessive tension and relax their bodies, which is exactly what Rin is doing. After that, we see Loki, who looks at Rin and says that, "Still, you're sticking your tongue out too much and calling Itoshi Rin quite wild." We also see Noah, who says that this is the true nature of Blue Lock's number 1. After that, we see Isagi on the floor, while Rin and Kaiser are beginning their matchup against each other. Their faces are filled with determination, as well as a ton of bloodlust. Rin tries to trick Kaiser away by doing some feints with the ball, but Kaiser instead tries to take his hand on Rin's shoulder. Still, it doesn't take long before Rin completely slaps Kaiser's hand, and that just looks incredible. Isagi finally realizes that he can't be chilling on the ground and gets up and compliments Kaiser's stalling before calling him a clown. Kaiser is looking furious as he tells Isagi not to interfere. He says that it's a duel between him and this fucking tongue, which was actually pretty funny. But Isagi just says that he doesn't care and that he will crush Rin. We get a close-up of Rin's eyes as he says that he now understands the psychology that leads him to the flow state. He says that it's the desire to bring out the best in his enemies and destroy them. He calls it an impulse that comes from his deep-seated desire to risk his life to destroy an amazing person. This means that Rin's flow is extremely similar to Sei's, but compared to Sei, who wants to destroy players beautifully, Rin wants to shame and embarrass them by bringing out their best. He also thinks back to the U20 game, and says that he was able to raise his performance to such a level in the U20 match, because he threw everything at the strongest existence, which of course was Itoshi Sai at that moment. But now, in the Neo-Egoist League, before him is the guy he wants to kill, which is of course Isagi, as well as a nuisance who's standing in his way, which is Kaiser. Rin takes a step on the ground and says that the conditions are set. With his rage and dark aura, which we haven't seen in a while, decides to peek out as Rin rushes towards the two of them and says that all that's left for him is to have the courage to burn to death in this moment. He says that as we get closer to his eye, which is getting swollen by the darkness, as Rin is rushing towards them, Kaiser looks intensely at him and says that he's not going to fall for it. While Isagi charges in without even thinking twice about it, Rin notices this and is surprised by the fact that Kaiser decided not to charge him, saying that he wanted to destroy them both all at once. Kaiser is standing back and is actually looking really cool as he tells Rin that he will get bit by Isagi as well as the stray dogs. Now you might wonder who the stray dog that Kaiser was talking about is, and it's none other than Ness, who's looking super weird as he's coming closer to Rin. He looks furious based on his facial expression, and he asks them to let him join in with a raspy voice. In the middle of it, Ness actually manages to grab the ball away from Rin when he isn't concentrating on it, which really annoys him. Ness shoots away the ball, and Rin is just left thinking that he needs to get in a thicker fight to get the calm Emperor to fall for it. Ness, right off the bat, looks over towards Kaiser after clearing out the ball and asks him how it was with a desperate tone. On the other hand, Kaiser just looks annoyed as he's running past him while saying that he doesn't care at all and that he isn't Ness's master anymore, which comes as a shock to Ness. After that, we get a close-up of Rin's eyes while he's saying that it's still too lukewarm. The ball is soaring through the sky, and Karasu screams that it's a second ball and that they need to be the ones to grab it. They actually manage to do that as Charles cuts in between both Reichi and Kiora and steals the ball from them. His aura has finally decided to come back, as he knows that he can finally show off again while saying a skull emoji because you know he's just Charles. After that, we see Shidu, who's still getting manhandled by Kunigami. Anyway, he screams at Charles to pass towards him. While this is going on, however, we get into Kaiser's thoughts as he says that he now understands that Itoshi Rin's talent is definitely the most outstanding in Blue Lock in terms of an individual's skill level. While Isagi has continued to adapt and evolve to defeat this guy, as he says that, we see this incredible panel with Isagi placing his arm on Rin's chest while rushing ahead of him. He's even got some sort of steam around him. Now back to Kaiser, who thinks that if that's the case, then the center of the Blue Lock is the relationship between these two rivals. Charles is getting ready to throw away his pass as he says his final skull emoji, while Raichi is right beside him and is unable to do anything. Kaiser says that Isagi and Rin stealing the seats of the main characters created by them is his own impossible challenge. As we see now, as he blocks away Charles's pass with his own head, Charles can't believe his eyes and calls him annoying, while Kaiser tells him to get lost and calls him a side character. Charles isn't the only one who's annoyed, as Rin wasn't a fan of Kaiser's move either, but Isagi, on the other hand, says that he finally got it, the current state of the field, as he's got pieces flying around him in all directions. He says that the quality of Rin's movements has improved, and now only he can keep up with him. If that's the case, then Kaiser, who is less vigilant, will be able to move more easily, but when Kaiser attacks alone, Isagi just needs to attract attention like he did before. The ball falls down to Nanase, who has Corona right behind him, but none of them are important right now as we are still in Isagi's thoughts, and he says that if it stands out, Rin will again try to target his movements from behind, creating an infinite cycle, explaining that the power balance is so finely matched that when someone stands out, someone else crushes them, saying that he, Rin, and Kaiser are currently crushing each other like rock, paper, scissors, which means that with just one mistake, one spark of inspiration, and any of the three of them could score a goal. His pieces are starting to grow back into place as he says that he knows he sees it, and that the key to the next goal is a fourth piece that aims for the main characters other than the three of them, whether it is someone who will create a fatal crack in the field or force in a new set of values. As we see a single piece of Isagi's puzzle, we hear him say that he can't afford to lose that moment, and then we see a three-way panel of Isagi, Kaiser, and Rin. Isagi says that he will win with his own goal, Kaiser says that with his own goal, he will take it, and Rin says that with his own goal, he will kill them, and all of them are looking extremely determined to be the ones to grab the next goal. We get right into the action as we see Nanase firing off a pass to Rin, who's currently on a roll right now. Rin traps it like he's Nagi or something because this looks sick. Anyway, he tells Nanase to go and also calls him a weakling. After that, we see a small panel of Hiyori, Kiora, and Raichi, who, in sync, look at Rin with a feeling of fear as they know that the egoist Itoshi Rin is on his way. And the next panel is honestly so insane because just look at Rin. Rin doesn't even look human anymore as his eyes are only focused on the goal and his tongue is fully out. He has the ball in his feet as he only has one thing in his mind, which is to annihilate. Before him, we see Corona, Hiyori, and Raichi all being in his way, not to mention the two loverbirds, Shidu and Kunigami, who are standing in the distance. After that, we see this absolutely wild panel where Rin tries to get behind both Corona and Hiyori. However, they aren't like the other background characters that you can get behind in a split second as they are keeping him in check. Or in check might be the wrong word, as they are clinging to their lives trying to hold Rin back, as they are on both sides of him. Rin thinks that it's going too slow, and that's why he decides to send off an insane backheel pass to his right side where Tokimitsu is. Even though he already has his own fight with Ness, he manages to send away the ball to Nanase on the other side. Nanase gets the ball, and after that, from nowhere, Rin decides to send himself back, breaking through the hands of Hiyori and Corona, and leaving them totally confused. We see in these eyes that he has a plan in mind, as he simply says more. Now that Rin has gotten both Hiyori and Corona out of the rhythm, he uses this as his chance to try and sneak behind them as he right away moves to Hiyori's side and runs past them. While doing so, he asks everyone to come at him as he is ready for a real challenge. Nanase, of course, has kept his eyes closed on Rin, and now that he is free, he sends away the ball to the superstar. Hiyori has managed to get some ground on Rin and is extremely close to Rin. Hiyori tries to make it harder for Rin to trap the ball from Nanase, but that has no effect on the hungry Itoshi Rin, who's looking so demonic. The ball is closing in on him, and to try and stop Rin from getting away with a shot, both Corona and Raichi jump before him and try to block off his shooting angle. Rin watches the ball closely with his eyes being totally consumed by darkness and his tongue being free in the air. Just then, he stomps his foot on the ground and stops himself from moving any further, and instead of shooting the ball from Nanase, he traps it with his other foot. Corona and Raichi couldn't believe their eyes, as they were almost certain that he would shoot. Rin still has Hiyori's back towards him, but he uses this to his advantage as he somehow manages to roll over Hiyori's back, while still having the ball practically glued to his feet. He gets on top of Hiyori's back before he rolls over, basically just using Hiyori as a straight tool for him. After that, he drags back his leg and is beginning to go into shooting position. Before him are both Kaiser and Isagi, who are trying their best to read Rin's every move, but it's not going as planned, as Kaiser can't believe Rin's movements and decision-making at all. However, it isn't only Kaiser, but Blue Lock's hero as well, as he says that he can't keep up with Rin, and just now he knows that Rin is in his range and could score easily as he has a clear angle towards the top corner. Rin's eyes only got more serious, but the next thing shocked everyone, as instead of shooting a clear goal, he took the ball down to the ground. Both Isagi and Kaiser can't believe their eyes as they wonder why he didn't shoot, and that he could have scored if he had shot. So what was the reason for this? Rin, in the middle of the game, decides to crack his shoulder before saying that someone is wrong. After that, we see who he was talking to, as a silhouette of his brother Itoshi Sei is standing right in front of him. Sei has his arms crossed and has the same aura that Rin has. Rin thinks that if Itoshi Sei had seen the goal he was going to make, he would still have said that it was too lukewarm. Looking at Sei right in the eyes, he says that even if he scored like that, it wouldn't lead to his evolution. Then once again shocking everyone, he passes the ball backward. He says that the act of putting your strongest self into the strongest target is what he wants to do. Charles is the lucky one to receive the ball. However, like everyone else, he's in shock, but he still traps it. Rin looks back at Charles, but this time he's really giving off some demonic vibes, as his eyes and aura look terrifying, as he tells Charles to gather all those who can die with Rin. That sentence alone gave Charles goosebumps, and his body started twitching. Tokimitsu can't believe what he is saying, and not even the analytic Karasu can figure out what it is that Rin wants. Reichi decides to add in by saying that he could have scored, and asks if he's just going to start over because he isn't satisfied. After that, we finally see Loki, but this time he isn't his normal casual self, as he looks completely absorbed by Rin's play, and he says that if this were an official match, Rin would be banned for life. Noah decides to add in by agreeing, and saying that Itoshi Rin is the worst kind of egoist. After that, the match goes back into action as Rin leaps forward. We quickly see Isagi, whose puzzle pieces are starting to break and disappear from him as he calls Rin crazy. We see that Charles isn't too pleased by all of this, but decides to play along. On the other hand, Nanase is absolutely ready to give another shot, while Reichi tells them that they are underestimating him. After that, we see a small text, and someone saying that Rin is the same as he was in the U20 game. We learn that it was Isagi who says that it's even more now, explaining that this time Rin is seeking something beyond that. He says that right now, there are a few people like Nagi, Baru, or even Kaiser that he feels are complete geniuses, but the current Itoshi Rin, for the first time in Isagi's life, is something that even his brain can't analyze, and he calls Rin a beast of destruction and an incomprehensible creature, which, to be fair, is a really sick nickname. Anyway, Charles passed the ball back to Rin, and he trapped the ball while his body was consumed by what I could only call spikes from hell. But these aren't just regular spikes, as all of the spikes pierce through Isagi's puzzle pieces. And honestly, this panel is just so sick, I don't actually know if I can think of another panel that matches this level. Like, just take a look at Rin, who looks so insane, and Isagi just looks a bit lost, and then of course Rin's spikes, which pierce right through Isagi's puzzle pieces. After that, we see Rin, who asks them all if they have ever played soccer with their lives on the line. He says this as he rushes towards them with the ball, this time being almost fully consumed by his dark aura. We then see this small panel of Hiyori, Reichi, and even Tokimitsu, a player from his own team. All of them look afraid and scared as Rin comes rushing toward them. Rin continues and asks if they have ever lived, believing that they would absolutely kill someone and devote everything to it, as he says that we see him absolutely devouring both Reichi and Hiyori, who can't even react to Rin, who dribbles past them. After that, we once again see a flashback to Rin playing with his toys. We also see the silhouette of Sei. After that, Rin asks for someone to give him the strongest illusion that surpasses even Itoshi Sei. He asks them to give it to him with their lives on the line. And once again, the author absolutely went crazy with the drawing, as I can't even describe it properly. Rin just looks like a beast, straight from hell, and Isagi sees this from afar and can't believe his eyes as he's totally stunned and is left wondering what to do next. And with that, we see Rin, who's doing everything in his power to keep the ball to himself. The commentator says, again, 3 times, the ball is with PXG, Blue Lock's number 1, Rin Itoshi. After that, we get a close-up of Rin's face, which is filled with a mix of determination, but also a ton of bloodlust. After that, we get a quick panel of Isagi, who says that he doesn't get Rin at all. He looks like he's lost in some alternative universe. The pieces around him start to dissolve as he wonders why Rin decided to abandon his goal in the last second, saying that he started from the beginning because the goal didn't suit him, wondering if Rin actually has gone crazy, even asking if Rin is an outright idiot or a monster. He looks at Rin and says that whatever it may be, it's for sure comprehensible. Rin passes the ball to Nanase, who has Corona right ahead of him, so he quickly sends it right back to Rin. But then again, we get back into Isagi's mind as he says that he can't read Rin for the life of him. He wonders what he's supposed to do and how he could ever manage to stop him. We can clearly see in Isagi's eyes that he's beginning to feel irritated as he can't figure out what to do. He says that Rin's plays can't be predicted by logic and that his brain isn't working at all. This new Rin is something that Isagi has never faced before. This creature in front of him is an incomprehensible being, and if Isagi is honest, then he admits that he is actually scary. I would be as well, because just look at Rin in this state. The only visible parts of him are his glowing eyes, which add a striking contrast to his dark and furious aura, which is slowly but surely consuming Rin. Rin goes with the ball towards Isagi and looks him right in the eyes while asking him if this is all that he's got. Isagi only gets more fired up by this as he scratches his teeth and looks back annoyed. After that, it really starts to get crazy as Rin decides to finally take the first step and advance, so he starts by doing some stepovers with the ball. After that, he takes his arm out to try and make it harder for Isagi to stop him. As he does that, he tells Isagi to come with a resolve to die, asking Isagi to come wanting to kill Rin because with such a lukewarm existence that Isagi has now makes him disqualified to be Rin's rival, and as he says that, he absolutely destroys Isagi as he does the same thing Sei once did towards Rin. Rin did a backheel nutmeg on Isagi, who we can see is just lost. Like bro wasn't even able to react even a fraction to Rin's play. Though on the other hand, we have Rin, who looks like a straight up demon. I love the contrast from his image where he did the nutmeg to when he gets behind Isagi and his aura and darkness start to appear again. I don't know what it's supposed to mean or anything like that, but I just think that it looks awesome, and with that we can say for certain that Rin owned Isagi here. Anyway, after that, Isagi tries to do something, but he ultimately falls down to the ground and can only watch as Rin runs away with the ball. Hiyori screams Isagi's name, while Reichi on the other hand asks him what the hell he is doing, but their words aren't able to reach the broken and damaged Isagi as he clenches his fists and looks down on the ground, saying resolve and to die for it, basically what Rin told him to get. However, after that, Isagi says shut up, probably saying it to Rin, before saying that he's got it too, and as he says that, he's left his sobby attitude and instead looks like a wild beast right now as he's gotten up from the ground and starts to run. He looks at Rin from the back and says that even though it's probably different from Rin's resolve, no matter how many times Isagi's lost, even if he were to die, he will always be able to be reborn and come back even stronger. And in this small panel, we are able to see that Isagi's puzzle pieces are slowly but surely coming back to him as he says that he's Isagi Yoichi, the genius of adaptability. And now let's just look at this insane panel where we can see that the GOAT Isagi Yoichi is finally back in action. We see his pieces starting to work overtime to come up with a new strategy, and just look at the eyes, they are filled with determined and revenge. Anyway, after that Rin passes the ball to his side where Charles lies. He calls him an incompetent contrarian, and says that he doesn't need any more of his sloppy passes, and tells Charles not to adjust them, and to just smash it, putting his finger up and telling Charles to give him his impulse. Charles is shocked at first and doesn't know what to say before getting a mean and villainous look on his face as he tells Rin that he's tripping, before saying that he will do as Rin said, and give Rin his nastiest pass ever. After that, his aura starts to once again make its appearance around Charles, and we can also see Loki in the corner, whose eyes start to glow up with excitement, as he says that this is good, and that Charles is finally being guided. However, we quickly leave them and get to Reichi, who screams that PXG is coming, and for everyone to get ready. But we also see Zantetsu, who uses his super acceleration to run into Kunigami, and is trying to annoy him. But to Isagi, they are all just small fries, as he has to keep close eyes on Kaiser and Rin. Rin is advancing at a rapid pace as he thinks that this is it. This is what he's been looking for. He says that they are broken, and that this isn't soccer anymore, but that they should kill each other instead. Personally, I would only allow killing if it were Igarashi, because he deserves the death penalty. Anyway, Rin is coming close to Kaiser, and Charles, who has the ball, gets behind Kiora with a simple sidestep, but he still thinks that this isn't it yet. He starts running scary close to the line, but as he looks into the box and sees Rin and Kaiser, who are battling for their lives, he suddenly stops and takes the ball behind his other foot with his other one, and says that just for Rin, who's gone crazy, he deserves this Rabona cross. And this is just wild. Doing a Rabona in the most intense part of the attack is wild, but I can't imagine anyone else doing it than Charles, so I guess it makes sense. Anyway, he makes the cross, and from out of nowhere, Rin takes his hand on Kaiser's back and starts to run the wrong way, which completely shocks Kaiser. Anyway, The ball is flying over all of the players, and Raichi, who is watching it closely, says that PXG drew them closer in and then crossed the ball to a distant area, admitting that they got them. Hiyori, who is also watching this, thinks that this is a top-level technique and that the only one able to read this pass and react is Itoshi Rin. But this does not turn out to be true, as Rin gets company from our favorite freak in Blue Lock, Shido Ryusei, who comes in with wings behind his back and says that he's a special devil for Rin. Rin is shocked by this, but Shido, with a bright smile, says that he's come to kill Rin and even calls him an unofficial rival. Charles, watching this from the side, is ecstatic as he explains that the nastiest part of his cross is that it's a shooting point that both of them can reach, meaning they will most likely collide. He later tells them to go on and to kill each other, but that doesn't matter to them, as Shido looks super hyped up while Rin looks focused to the max. Thanks to Charles's incredible Rabona cross, it's now a death race for the goal. We also see Charles for a quick second, as he just looks ecstatic over what he's just managed to do. Hiyori looks over to Zantetsu and Kunigami, as he says that Zantetsu decided to block Kunigami's path, and also got uncomfortably close to Kunigami's body. This in turn made Kunigami's reaction a bit delayed, and because of that, for a quick moment, the demon Shido Ryusei was free on the battlefield and is once again seeking pleasure. Where we can clearly see here as he's trying to stop Rin from scoring and instead score his own goal, both Rin and Shido stare into each other as they also have their tongues out. Rin thinks that here he comes, the blonde pest. Rin starts to analyze it some more and concludes that if he waited for the ball to reach his targeted shooting point, Shido would interfere and he wouldn't be able to shoot. Because of that, Rin knows that he needs to change his shooting point and he has to do it quickly. He looks at the nasty cross Charles made, which was constructed to make havoc between them, and he realizes that to get to the ball even a moment faster, he needs to do a route change, which is exactly what he does in the most vital of moments. He turns his body the other way and starts to really sprint for it. Shido looks back in shock and can't believe what Rin is doing. He asks if Rin has finally decided to run away, but Rin thinks to himself that he would never run away from Shido and thinks that it's a challenge to a more difficult kick. Looking at the ball and saying that it's from a high point that even Shido can't reach. He is able to start to visualize his goal as he gets an image of a bounce shot which will lead to the ball smashing it in the left net. Rin has just gotten under the ball and says that this is it. He will now live his life and update his personal best by going further beyond what he thought was possible, as he will try to reach the ball from a new high, making a new unprecedented kicked ball. But just then, something comes his way, and no, it's not Isagi or Shido, but instead his own brother, as a silhouette of Sei pops up in front of Rin. He's got Rin's darkness and rage aura around him as he comes before Rin and tells him that this is too lukewarm. Rin is confused by this and can't believe that it's happening again, as he just looks at Sei, who once again, but this time with a determined face, looks straight at Rin and says that it's still too lukewarm. Rin is in shock right now, as he doesn't understand how once again he's too lukewarm. He was certain that with this shot, he would be able to surpass this guy's illusion. Sei, who's still in front of Rin, says that this is his limit, and that Rin can't become the world's best. Rin is lost. He doesn't know what to do because if he doesn't overcome this image, he can't evolve any further. Sei doesn't budge, as he's still trying to get Rin to turn away, and he tells Rin that he's still just a thrashy little brother living in his shadow. As the ball is still flying in the air, and with Sei in front of him, Rin realizes that he can't do anything because Sei's murderous intent towards Rin is enough to stop Rin from coming up with any ideas to overcome it. Rin's eyes seem to have lost the glow and spark they had before, as they look lost now. The silhouette is just growing larger and more fearsome as he tells Rin to just get lost and tells Rin that he does not need him in his life anymore. Rin is so close to finally scoring a super goal, but there's nothing he can do against his older brother. He asks for someone to please come forward and give Rin a new impulse. Just then, a hand cuts through Sei's head, and he later sweeps away the whole silhouette. It's none other than Blue Lock's hero and Rin's destined rival, Isagi Yoichi, who comes forward to try and stop Rin in his ways. We get a close-up of Isagi's face, and his eyes are bigger and shinier than ever before as he looks right at Rin and says that he will even stake his life on this. For a quick second, Rin is confused and lost as he can just stare at Isagi, but then his eyes start to slowly light up again as he sees his rival, and with that, he's gotten back his determination to score. He looks at the ball and then wonders if the shooting course is blocked, but after analyzing it, he sees that there's still a chance, but he has to act quickly as Isagi is advancing fast toward him. Isagi is coming with a killing intent as he takes his hand out and screams that he won't let Rin shoot, also calling him a freak. But you know, that's just the standard here. After that, Rin's eyes start to transform from his white normal eyes back to his dark and empty eyes. As his urge to attack is weeping up, he thinks back to the childhood program he watched where the monster put his life on the line and decides to do the same thing as he rushes towards the ball again. The anticipation is just getting bigger and bigger as both of them are trying their all to be the ones to win this showdown. Isagi grinds his teeth while Rin puts his tongue out. He says that Isagi is the one he wants to die with, calling it an imagination of unprecedented destruction as he jumps up in the air. Rin is now in the air, and Isagi is close by on the ground. However, Rin is preparing his foot to shoot the ball the second it arrives. Rin has his rage instincts all around him, while Isagi's pieces are flying rapidly around him, and just in this moment, Rin says that his desires and this impulse, he wants to let it all out right now, saying that it's because he is against Isagi after all, his sworn rival, as he says that he finally comes in contact with the ball and is able to fire it off. However, Isagi also got in contact with Rin as he tried to jump on him, which may ruin Rin's shot. Anyway, the shot is coming closer and closer to the goal, and we see that Hiyori can't believe his eyes as Rin is able to fire it off while he and Isagi are colliding. Shido behind Rin is also amazed that he managed to get a crazy crash shoot. We also see Raichi, who tried to get up and head away from the ball, but he wasn't able to, unfortunately. This makes it so that the only thing standing in Rin's way is Gagamaru. However, he is facing some trouble as he thought that Rin would shoot in the open left corner, but he instead shot a high-spec shot to the right corner beyond the crowd, and because of that, Gagamaru was unable to do anything, as Rin's shot finally goes into the goal and gives him his first goal in this match. After that, both Rin and Isagi fall down to the ground. Luckily, Isagi fell on top of Rin, so he came out with minimal damages, but that can't be said for Rin as we see blood on the pitch. Isagi looks up towards Rin, who has his hand close to his face, and suddenly Isagi's face gets serious as he sees him. Rin, on the other hand, wonders what this feeling that he is getting is, saying that he's blown away as well as saying that it feels so good, as he says that we finally see his face, and we are able to see that Rin has blood coming out from his nose. It also looks like it's coming out some blood from his mouth as well. But that doesn't concern Rin the slightest, as he's in shock by this new and immense feeling he's gotten. The commentator asks the world to pay attention as, at the 11th hour, PXG ties the score and says that this is Blue Lock's #1 Rin Itoshi. We get a close-up of Rin's face, which has an ecstatic feeling to it, while Isagi is just looking at him in shock. Nanase is also looking at him and is amazed at his crash shot. But he isn't the only one, as Reichi and Karasu also can't understand what just went down. Out of nowhere, Charles starts to run towards Rin as he screams at him, telling him that he is out of his mind. Charles goes right by his side and starts to laugh at his nosebleed, while saying that his shot was just insane and incredible. After that, he tells Rin that he's definitely got some loose screw somewhere and says that he loves it, while also saying a devil emoji as the weirdo that he is, but Shido overhears this and comes by. He asks Charles which one of them he likes better. After that, he gets an annoyed facial expression as he tells Rin that he just can't stand his personality or those lower lashes of his. However, Rin's shot just now was art, and he explains that he was really into it before saying some gun noises. Rin, who hasn't really had time to grasp everything, is confused as he says huh, before wondering what Shido means with art. After that, he asks Shido so what, and calls him a vermin, which basically is a pest. After that, Shido tells Charles to listen up, and asks him to decide which one of Rin or Shido is the crazier one, as well as which of them is going to be the one to change the world. And after that pass to that person, this gets Charles' blood boiling as he's very on board with this crazy and interesting idea. Anyway, after that, they get up from the field and leave Isagi behind, who's still in shock. But before they leave, Charles tells Rin that he should probably plug up his nosebleed, as he can't play if he loses too much blood. Anyway, now back to Isagi, who is just left wondering what the hell happened. His eyes look traumatized as he thinks back to everything that happened and asks himself if he got something wrong. He starts from square one and says that once Zantetsu started covering the exhausted Kunigami, Shido tried to break free, and he became the fourth piece that threw off the balance between Isagi, Kaiser, and Rin. However, Isagi saw that faster than anyone, and he reached the spot where Charles's pass was most likely to land, but Rin accelerated to shake off Shido, and he still shot with Isagi right by him. Isagi is lost, as having himself so close to Rin should have stopped him, as he knew that he would crash into Isagi. But still, he wasn't the least bit afraid. He thinks back to Rin saying that the feeling he got from that goal felt so good, and also compares that to his goal against Team Nico, when he got the exact same feeling, and he concludes that they both felt the same thing, and starts to wonder if that means that Rin has just started to realize his own talent, and because of that, Isagi starts to wonder if he was just a totally random supporting characters meant to awaken this prodigy. This realization almost breaks Isagi as his world is getting turned around, while Rin's world is just getting more and more exciting as his aura is around him and almost burning him alive by all of this excitement. But just then, someone takes their hand and grabs Rin close to him. Rin is shocked as he's just randomly getting pulled back, but we later see that it was none other than Julian Loki, who is having a dark and almost furious feeling to him. Nanase and Karasu doesn't know what is happening as Loki has never done this before, and Isagi just watches quietly by. Rin, who's already quite annoyed, asks what this is about. Loki is having trouble remembering but says that he's pretty sure that they played against each other in the Blue Lock's 3rd selection and asks if this is correct. Rin slaps away Loki's hand and says that it is and asks why he's wondering. Loki tells him that he's had to revise his opinion of Rin, saying that since Rin has become such an entrancing striker, he could even say that he's now a totally different person. Loki starts to smile a little as he thanks Rin for causing Charles to awaken, and then we just see Charles for a quick second, but it looks like he's frozen to ice by Loki's words. Anyway, after that, Loki says that he hadn't planned on taking the field, but it just seems too fun, and he tells Rin that it was he who made Loki want to play in this match. Loki's words shock Rin as he can't believe it. All of the spectators are getting excited to have Loki come into the match, and the commentators say that Julian Loki, the Wonder Child, who has yet to play throughout the whole Neo-Egoist League, has declared he's taking the field. After that, we switch teams as we see Noah slowly taking off his jacket. He tells Loki that he joining is basically cheating and calls him a stupid brat before declaring that he is also going in. He looks at Kunigami and says that he's out, which is a good thing as he's really exhausted, but that's not all. He also says that there is another player on the verge of topping over, and that one is Corona Ranza, who is ordered to hit the bench. This comes as a shock to him, but he switches. After that, we see that the ones going in are himself as well as the fucking rat Gurimu Igarashi, who for some reason is getting called in. Even Igarashi himself can't believe it. Raichi is furious, and he starts to scream. Even the analytic master Karasu can't understand this plan, and both Isagi and Hiyori are in shock by this. Noah looks at the bald gremlin and says that it's time to go. Stand up, Super Sub, and tells him that it's his last chance to change his destiny. The rat screams yes, master, before saying hail to the standing Buddha and saying that he is ready to go in. After that, the new players take the field, and the commentators come on once again, saying that with a score of 2-2, the final match reaches its climax. The point from this last goal will determine the game, with both teams' masters in play and the game hitting its peak, who will score the last point and become the Neo-Egoist League champion. After that, Isagi hears someone calling his name, and he turns around to see that it is Rin. Rin, who has his back turned to Isagi, tells him that he is glad that he chose Isagi as his rival. This gets Isagi a bit irritated for some reason, but Rin, who takes his hand on his head like a classic anime villain, just tells Isagi to hate him, as it only makes him stronger. After that, he takes away his hand, looks Isagi straight in the eyes, and tells him that it's his duty to try and kill Rin until Isagi dies. This makes Isagi furious, and he starts grinding his teeth while in his head, asking Rin to shut up and calling him an arrogant prick before saying that he swears on this last goal that he will devour Rin back. And with that, we get this last awesome panel with Isagi burning up with frustration in the middle while he has Kaiser, Shidu, the rat, Hiyori, and Ness behind him. And then we get right into it by seeing Ego sitting in his chair while closely analyzing the Bastard vs PXG game. He says that Rin Itoshi has now lit a fire in the final match. We then get a close-up of Ego, and it feels like it's been decades since we last saw him, but I'm glad to finally see him eating his noodles as always. He's also got some company from Henri, who says that she can't believe that Julian Loki actually wants to take the field as he hasn't played once up until now, also saying that their viewers just spiked, telling Ego that they are the #1 trending topic on social media worldwide, which is just crazy. Ego, who's finished his noodles and is currently slurping the juice, says that it's the herd mentality and that the world just wants to witness a hero and geniuses attract one another. He puts his noodle cup down as he says that at the hottest place in the world, they are about to see an incredible finale. But then, out of nowhere, his mood switches into a much more sinister vibe as he says not to be misjudged and to not fly too high, looking at his players and telling them not to dare try and become geniuses, and also calls them his little prodigies, which is quite sweet. Anyway, after that, we get to Isagi, who's actually burning up with a mix of rage but also determination to stop Rin to whatever the prize may be. After that, we see Loki, and the commentators review what has just happened, as they say that PXG has swapped out their defender Gabin and swapped in their Master Loki, saying that this is an ultra-specialized finisher attack formation. However, on the other side, Bastard Munchen has swapped out 2 players. Those are Rensuke Kunigami and Ranse Corona. To replace those heaters, we have Master Noah. And for some reason, the rat himself, Gurimu Igarashi, just looking at him makes me mad, to be fully honest. However, that's not all. As they say, regarding the contact play during the goal attempt, and for tackling a player after the ball had been kicked, Yoichi Isagi has been given a yellow card, forcing him to be a lot more careful in his plays. However, in his mind, he just tells the commentators to shut the hell up, which is so like him. While he's walking around on the field, he thinks back to what Rin said to him, about him having a duty to try and kill Rin until the very end. He then looks back at Rin, who's also walking. As he has his eyes on Rin's back, he tells him to bite Isagi and calls him a freak, telling him that he isn't some stepping stone for Rin's evolution. He finally looks pumped up to the max as he thinks that his life doesn't exist to serve Rin's. After that, we get a look at the spectators who are going crazy while watching. However, they aren't relevant as we see Isagi's true and first fan watching the game, who has a kind of worried expression on his face as he sends his prayers to Isagi. And then the commentators say that the next point will be the last goal, which determines the game, wondering what kind of finale they will witness during the Masters' 3 minutes of the star change system, with the score being tied 2-2 in the final match of the Neo Egoist League. The whole world is watching as this last battle starts. After that, we get this insane panel of the restart of the match, and Noah passing the ball to the fired Isagi, who says that he will win with his own goal. Now, as I said, Isagi has the ball and Noah on his side. Going up to contest them, we have Shidu, who's standing before them and watching for their move. Isagi and Noah look at each other, and Isagi says that as he has Noah here for these 3 minutes, he will prove to everyone that he is a genius too, which was the exact same thing Ego told them not to do, so not to be that guy. But I have a feeling that it's not going to go the way Isagi has it planned to go. Anyway, Isagi sends away his pass to Noah, who traps it with his right leg, and after that, Isagi sneaks behind Shidu while saying that the level of play right now is undeniably world class, and that the adaptability genius Yoichi Isagi is gonna control the field. As he says that, Noah sends the ball back, and Isagi makes a little jump as he traps it. We can also see that his puzzle pieces are starting to really get active around him, but out of nowhere, it's like a lightning came across Isagi and stole the ball, leaving him speechless, before looking to his right, where we see the Wonder Child and PXG's master, Julian Loki, who is able to just simply sweep away the ball from Isagi. Loki still has lightning coming off him, as he calls Isagi's trap weak and way too slow. He gets a dark aura and feel to him as he looks back to Isagi, and tells him that the slow ones die first and calls it the law of nature. Isagi still hasn't grasped what happened, and looks at Loki in shock. Now that Loki has the ball, he's faced with both Raichi and Hiyori before him, but he simply just says okay, and that it's time to blast off. And blast off, he definitely does, as he uses his ability called God Warp to completely blitz through Raichi and Hiyori, who wasn't even able to react. Raichi, who's looking back, can't believe how fast Loki is. And Hiyori, who's also totally amazed, says that his stride is completely nuts. Even Isagi jumps in here, as he asks if Loki is even real. Loki gets behind another player which looks like Kiora, but Isagi is watching this and says that thinking and logic are meaningless here. No matter how much he tries to get stronger bit by bit, this is the abuse of physical talent. Loki's insane pure speed. The defenders of Bastard Munchen quickly realize that going one-on-one with Loki will never work and say that they need at least 2 guys on him. But just as Loki reaches them, he passes to his side where the beast and monster lie. And I'm of course talking about Rin. Rin gets the ball, and Loki tells him that he can have the last point and calls him Tongue Monster-san while also sticking his tongue out. Rin, who also of course has his tongue out, calls Loki a patronizing master. Isagi, who's looking at this closely, wonders if it's over already and that in just one play, Loki was able to break through their whole team, and now Rin is basically free to score. He looks dumbfounded as he thinks that it might already be over. He starts saying that they are going to lose. But before he can finish his sentence, an unexpected player makes his appearance, and I hate to say it, but it's none other than Gurimu Igarashi, who comes and is actually right by Rin. He takes his hand on Rin's chest to try and stop him from going further. He looks at the ball and says, "Hail the 3 treasures," as he goes to steal away the ball. Rin looks at him with a furious facial expression and asks him what his deal is before slamming his entire body into Igarashi, who almost flies up into the sky before landing right on his face, which I just know hurts like hell. However, just then the announcer goes off, which shocks Rin as they say that Itoshi Rin made a foul. Rin can't believe it, and Isagi, who's rushing over there, compliments the rat's awesome ability. Igarashi, who gets up from the ground, just looks back with burning eyes as he says that it's his secret technique, the genius killer Militia. We start off by seeing the spectators being ecstatic over Igarashi's amazing foul play in the latest chapter where he gave Rin a foul. Isagi also can't believe his eyes as he looks in total shock by all of this, probably thinking that the rat was good for something at least, whereas Rin just looks absolutely furious, and he fully looks like he wants to kill someone. The commentators say that not even they can believe it, and moments after being swapped in, Gurimu Igarashi drew out a foul from the feral Rin Itoshi and barely managed to stop his shot. After this, we actually get this rather cool panel with Igarashi down on his knees celebrating, and Raichi and Gagamaru rushing over toward him. Igarashi later uses all of his force and screams "Ya" out loud, probably just as loud as Buddha would be able to hear it. Raichi takes his arm around Igarashi and tells him that it was a nice one, while Gagamaru scratches his head and tells him that he nailed it and calls him a god monk. After that, we actually get some insight into the rat's play as he explains that Noah told him his plan when they swapped in, and it worked wonders. As they were standing side by side, Noah said to him that right now, Rin Itoshi is relying on his own senses, so he will probably charge in without giving it a second thought. He told Igarashi to turn Rin's reckless charge back on him and to use his militia to make him get a foul. The rat actually looks really happy as he looks down on his hand and says that Noah has been watching him and he knows how to properly use Igarashi's hard work and abilities. After that, he gets an outburst and screams, asking if his mom and dad saw that, trash-talking their temple a bit before saying that his life just got a Buddha boost. After that, we see Noah coming over and actually complimenting Igarashi and telling him to keep it up. Igarashi couldn't be happier as he's just gotten a compliment from the one and only Noah, and he says yes sir, as well as hail the three treasures. Noah looks at him intensely as he says that the enemy will keep coming at full force and tells Igarashi to drive them nuts, and when they come at them with ruthless violence, they will meet them with cool-headed intelligence. All of them are ready for it as they look super hyped to finally get some coaching from Noah. After that, we finally get to the main man, Isagi, who's been eyeing their conversation. He's a bit surprised that Igarashi's militia actually worked on Rin. However, that also means that the furious and ruthless Rin can actually be stopped, and with that knowledge, he's sure that the field is going to change. After that, we switch teams as we go over to PXG, where we see Loki and Rin talking. Loki asks Rin if he will let it end like this, and calls him Tongue Monster, which just sounds pretty funny. Anyway, Rin gets an intense look as he tells him to shut up and that the next time he will curse that monk to death, which I can get behind on. Anyway, with that, the match restarts, and Igarashi kicks the ball. He passes it to Noah, who's got a burning aura around him as he traps the ball. It's quite fancy, I would say. As Noah has the ball, he tells Bastard Munchen to go, and for them to follow his lead. Kaiser just replies with okay, and calls him a shitty master, but that's actually quite a calm response coming from Kaiser. And then it begins for real, as Noah is getting company right off the bat, as we see Shidu asking Noah to have a dance with him, as well as Charles joining in, to pincer Noah together with Shidu. Shidu takes his hand on Noah's shoulder to get him off balance, while Charles tries to sneak under and take the ball. But Noah handles them flawlessly, as he simply sweeps the ball to his left side to secure it. After that, he says go, and then right away we see Kaiser running on his right side. So Noah then takes back the ball and actually gets off a nutmeg pass under Charles. After Kaiser gets the ball, Noah runs past both Shidu and Charles, which lets Kaiser send the ball back. Isagi is looking at them amazed and says that Noah drew both Shidu and Charles in to then make a nutmeg pass, saying that it's a direct 1-2 pass and that the two of them managed to just get past 3 defenders. However, he felt a little bit left out of it, as he says that he doesn't want to be on the sideline anymore as he's going to coordinate with them, as we can see here as he ran right by Kaiser. As they are running, Noah passes the ball over to them. However, it's not going as Isagi wants, as Kaiser uses him as bait for Zantetsu and gets the ball himself. After that, they hear a familiar voice saying that the reason he joined the league was not for the team, but instead to awaken Kaiser's true ego. It's Noah who's saying this, and both Kaiser and Isagi freeze up at this. Noah explains that what he truly wants is a rival who poses a threat to him. Someone like that would force Noah himself to evolve further and produce an entirely new him, saying that what he wants is to be even stronger. And wow, we just got Noah's true ego, which is far greedier than I could have ever thought. Just look at him as he hungers for the next one to even come close to challenging him. Not even the masters are enough for this beast. He looks so demonic as he traps the ball he just got from Kaiser. As I said before, Kaiser and Isagi can hardly believe it, as Kaiser is shocked at the mere fact of Noah being able to become stronger. However, as Noah is running on the pitch, someone comes in his way, and it's none other than Tokimitsu, who, with a scared voice, says that he will stop him. Tokimitsu looks terrified, as he says that he's got to stop Noah, or else it's over. However, I would be terrified as well, because just look at Noah in this panel. He looks like an absolute monster, and Tokimitsu can't believe that he has to be the one to stop him. But surely enough, he takes his courage and charges in. He grabs Noah's shirt, which makes him fall to the floor, which just looks like it hurts. Not the prettiest of plays maybe, but he did what was necessary. Isagi is in shock by this, and then the speakers go off as they announce that Tokimitsu just made a malicious foul, and because of that, they are giving him a yellow card. Tokimitsu right away falls to his knees because of the yellow card, but Nanas rushes over and ensures him that he had no choice, and that they would have been done for if he didn't. However, if we look a bit to the left, we see Isagi, who looks absolutely lost and heartbroken as he says that Noah doesn't care about him at all. He looks destroyed, as he says that he was only planning to use him to help evolve Kaiser further. And if this wasn't bad enough, then Rin just sees Isagi as a rival to help him grow and achieve his own goals. And he finally concludes that to the world, he's just a second-rate stepping stone to help create heroes, which must have been such a crushing reality to find yourself in. After that, we see Noah holding the ball up towards Kaiser and telling him to finish it, as this is a 29-meter.
Thanks for watching our video. We will show you the rest in our next video.